Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the None Other Lead with Love podcast with Dr. Q. And this is the podcast where we talk about all things love, leadership, and some real life lessons that actually matter. So if you are here today, remember, it is no accident. You're exactly where you need to be. So, y'all ready? Let's jump in. Okay, so I'm going to ask y'all something. Have you ever worked for a leader who felt kind of like untouchable? Like they were more position than they were actually person. Like their title mattered more than the human that was actually wearing the title. No, I have. And it can feel lonely. It can feel cold, a little disconnecting. But I've also worked for some leaders who made me forget that they were the boss at all because they showed up so fully as a human first. And those are the leaders that I'd follow anywhere. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Nobody is saying this out loud, but you know Dr. Q is going to say it. Your title doesn't define you, and it shouldn't define how you lead. According to Gallup's State of the Global Workforce report, only 23% of employees worldwide feel like they're engaged at work, and 70 say it comes from their leader or their manager. So today we're starting something new. Yay! We just finished 4 powerful weeks talking about joy, and now we're going to move to the U in Just Care. Undo your tie. This is my woman tie. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to kind of introduce to you each of the remaining letters of Just Care before we actually dive deep into those throughout the course of this year. I'm excited about this journey. So think of this as kind of just your preview. And starting with this, what is the most powerful thing that you could do as a leader is show up as a human being first. Listen, today I'm very human. I had one of those days today, y'all, that would take people out of here. But I'm so grateful to be able to be here with you. But I'm really not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I'm feeling my new glasses, but I've had a really bad day. However, by the end of this episode, you are going to understand what undo your time means. And I'm doing it with you live. Why your humanity is your greatest leadership asset. And why what happened when I finally stopped hiding behind my title and showed up fully as a human, I'm going to tell you that today. This comes straight from chapter 2, Lead with Love, 8 Heart-Centered Strategies for Exceptional Leadership. Go to Amazon now, get your copy, hardback, paperback, and the Audible is on the way. So I'm going to start with a story. Some of you have heard the story, but the May Queen Smith, the Queen of May, my grandmother, I talk about her a lot because she was my best friend and a woman who just brought she was holy, but she was hilarious. And when I lost her at the age of 93, it happened the same trip that my nephew was brought into the world. It was kind of beautiful, this kind of life and death, joy and grief space, all kind of colliding in one weekend. But and I did what most leaders do in that space. I text my team and I was like, listen, this is what happened. You know, my heart was broken, but I thought that my responsibility as a principal meant that I needed to push through the pain. But I've talked about this a lot. Grief doesn't follow our leadership timelines. And days after coming back to work, I sat in a meeting, I remember, with my secretary, and I just watched her mouth move because I just couldn't even register what she was saying. And then I eventually just broke down crying and couldn't stop. And just not that day, like for weeks. Like I was really sad. I miss her. I still miss her today. But eventually I ended up calling a team with a meeting with my team and did something that terrified me. I showed up as a human and not their leader. I shared my grief. I had recently been divorced, my overwhelming pain. It was crippling. And I feared that this vulnerability was going to weaken my authority. Instead, it did something extraordinary. My team, they began to share their stories of their losses, and they offered me support, and they had my back, and they led me when I couldn't lead myself. Weeks later, at my grandmother's funeral, I remember this like it was yesterday. I looked at the podium because I was speaking, and I saw my assistant principal there, and he had driven hours to come and be there for me. And when I asked like why, he simply just said, I needed you to know. I needed to know that you're okay, and I needed you to know that it's okay and you're not alone. That moment literally changed my life as it related to how I led. And by undoing my tie, by being human, by showing up and not being about my title, I deepened trust, I deepened transparency, communication, and connection with my team. And embracing my humanity, it didn't weaken my leadership. It actually did the opposite. It strengthened it. So, what does undoing your tie actually mean? Right? What does the phrase mean? You know, when a man gets comfortable, he kind of undoes his tie. And essentially, it means that your title doesn't define you. And it shouldn't define how you lead either. Yes, you're the boss. Yes, you've got authority, responsibilities, and expectations to meet. But at the core, you are human first. Yet in our schools, our organizations, our teams, humanity becomes kind of an afterthought, something that we check at the door, like we check our coats when we clock in. And here's what the data is telling us. LinkedIn, I know everyone's on LinkedIn, did a study of over 26,000 professionals, found that 46% of employees left a job because they didn't feel valued as a person, and not because of pay, not because of the workload, but because they felt invisible as humans. And even in education specifically, research from the Learning Policy Institute, a lot of different places shows that teachers who leave the profession, they cite that it's poor administrative support sometimes, lack of respect as their primary reason. And they're not leaving kids, they're leaving leaders who treated them like job titles instead of human beings. And this is not all leaders. Some school leaders are phenomenal, and some do leave for different reasons, but leadership makes a difference. And we're being held to a higher standard as a leader doesn't actually mean that you can't be human. It just means that you can't be an undisciplined human, like someone who leads haphazardly, that's driven by your unchecked ego. Leading with humanity means bringing your most full, authentic self to your role while maintaining the discipline and intentionality that your position requires. Like today, I am sad, y'all. But at the end of the day, I'm going to show up anyway, and it be okay that I feel the way I feel. So let me give you all three truths. Truth number one, your position is not a role that you play. It's not who you are. Don't let your power overpower your humanity. Titles grant temporary authority, but they don't empower you as the leader. What empowers you is your ability to connect, to inspire, and to serve others. Leadership rooted only in your rank or your title, it's fragile. And leadership rooted in humanity, though, is resilient. Truth two, authenticity builds safety. Bring your real self, not a curated Instagram post, perfect version of you. Your team needs to see your humor, your struggles, even your doubts, especially teachers in the classroom. Kids need to see that you're real. When you show up authentically, you give others permission to do the same thing. And this creates what is so important, psychological safety. Google's Project Aristotle, a massive study of 180 plus teams, found that psychological safety was the number one predictor of team effectiveness. Not talent, not resources, safety. Maslow says we need psychological, physical safety, and love. Truth 3, you are enough exactly as you are. Stop trying to be the leader that you think people want you to be. God created you with unique qualities and strengths specifically suited for the people and the mission that you serve. You are perfect. Research from the Journal of Applied Psychology show that authentic leadership increases employee well-being by 35% and job satisfaction by 28%. Be you. You were made to be exactly who you are, and people are waiting on you to show up. So let's talk about why this matters. Yep. AI. It's reshaping our workplaces. Our humanity becomes our most irreplaceable asset. People need humans. I hate talking to technology on the phone. Technology can analyze the data, like it annotates, and it can even generate content. But listen, AI cannot touch somebody's human soul. Can't touch their heart. It can't offer empathy when someone is grieving. It cannot read the room to know when it's time to pivot. And the more automated our systems become, the more essential our humanity becomes. Leaders who embrace this are going to thrive. Those who hide behind titles and technology are going to eventually struggle to build the deep connections that drive meaningful work. So in quarter 2, I believe, weeks 14 through 17, the plan is to go deeper into Undo Your Tie with 4 full episodes from some wisdom from Brad Johnson on Twitter, y'all. He's dope. 1, relationships before results. We'll talk about trust before task, support before systems, empathy before expectations. But for now, I just want you all to just kind of sit with this truth. Your humanity isn't a liability. It is your greatest asset. Yep, it is. So, what do I want you all to do this week? Well, do one thing. I want you to share one real struggle with your team. Not a complaint, not a vent, just a human moment. Maybe it's, I've been working on being a better listener, or I've been overwhelmed and need to reset my priorities, or I made a mistake this week and here's what I learned. Just one very authentic moment of humanity, and watch what happens. Okay. I also this week want you to go get your book, Lead with Love. And then next week's episode, we're going to kind of dive into why this works. The research, the real stories from the survey of people. I asked over 1,000 people to share their stories, and what happens when leaders hide versus when they show up fully human. So before I let you go, remember, go get your book, Lead with Love, 8 Heart-Centered Strategies for Exceptional Leadership. It's available right now on Amazon. Audible's coming soon again. You can get it hardback or paperback. All right, so let's wrap it up. Your title, it may demand compliance, but your humanity invites commitment. Your position might command attention, but your authenticity, it creates connection. Your authority might enforce standards, but your vulnerability builds trust. Remember these numbers, y'all. Only 23% of employees are engaged, and 70% say that it's their leader or manager. 46% leave because they don't feel valued as a person, as a human. 55% of teachers cite that bad leadership support when leaving. And psychological safety is the number 1 predictor of team success. Authentic leadership increases well-being by 35%. Like, those are some very, very, very critical stats. But the choice is yours. You can stay buttoned up, or you can undo your tie and lead as a beautifully imperfect human as you are. So I thank you all for your grace today. Thank you so much for joining me on this Lead with Love podcast. And if today's message spoke to you, please share it with somebody who maybe needs permission to lead more authentically. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. And because I don't want you to miss episode 6 next week, why your humanity wins. And remember, leading with love isn't a one-time decision. It is a daily choice. So until next time, be well. And of course, lead with love. And let's do it together.